Welcome back to Gossip Goals. We are an F1 podcast with a pop cultural twist. I'm your host, Candace. My co-host, Tasia, is not here today, so I am riding solo today, baby. But Tasia will be back for our next recording. Before we begin, I just wanted to get a temperature check. How are we feeling? Are we excited? I'm excited. I'm so glad that F1 is back. I'm so excited to see cars on track. I'm so excited to see racing. The Australian Grand Prix was insane. My feelings are a mix between we are so back, baby, and then also chat, are we cooked right now? It's great to see the cars back, but the new regulation and rule changes is so trippy. So, you know what? Let's dive in. Let's dive in to Australia. Overall feelings, what a race. Australia never disappoints. I was actually talking to my brother before the race started, and he was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch Australia. It's always like boring. Da, da, da. And I was like, buddy, you are so wrong. Even just in recent memory, Australia is always insane because it's at the beginning of the year. There's always reliability issues, even when it's a couple of races in. It's a weird little track because it is a street track. And so it's actually pretty difficult to drive. And very rarely do the drivers actually all finish. This year, regulation change. Bam. 2 cars didn't even start the race because of reliability issues. Then, the year before, it rained. It rained in Australia last year. It never rains. Isaac Hadjar crashed formation lap. Carlos Sainz crashed behind the safety car. It was insane. Oscar decided to mow the lawn halfway through the race. Fell out of the podium places. Had to claw his way back up into points in his home race. Insane. The year before, we thought it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. We thought it was going to be a Max Verstappen masterclass. What happened in 2024? Max Verstappen's car went up in flames. Carlos Sainz won the Grand Prix. The year before, the Australian Grand Prix had the most red flags ever recorded. 3 red flags. Drivers were playing bumper cars out there. Needless to say, Australian Grand Prix, always a banger, always something insane going on, and this race was no different. Okay, let's talk that start. Qualifying, insane, whatever. No one really knows what they're doing yet. But that race start, we had seen what the race starts could look like during testing when the cars were practicing, and we saw that Ferrari had figured it out and they were able to start those cars and get them up to speed a lot quicker than everybody else. But to see that in action, in racetrack, on a race trim, in front of hundreds of thousands of people, wild. Charles Leclerc, start of the gods. P4 to P1. Lewis freaking Hamilton. It's like he remembered who he is. Started P7 to P3. Cinema. Absolutely insane. And you know what? A lot of the sort of lower level teams had great starts. Arvid Lindblad, amazing. I don't know what happened to Lawson. Lawson qualified ahead of Lindblad. Arvid Lindblad, great start. Sainz, fantastic start. He moved up so quickly from P21 to like P15 or something in a matter of seconds. It was truly a masterclass. Albon had a great start too because he moved up a few places as well. So yeah, the start was insane. And then watching the Mercedes versus George battle. Pass, repass, pass, repass, pass, load your batteries up, go. I'm not going to lie to you, I still don't really understand what the heck is going on with these new regulations. And that's something that I do want to talk to Tasia about because it is kind of loco. But you know what? To see it in action, I mean, that was really fun. Honestly, George and Charles were passing for a while. And I thought for a moment, I did think we were going to get a through goes Hamilton moment. Safety car happened. That didn't happen. But yeah, so that was good. So highlights, the George-Charles fight. Also, Max Verstappen. P20 to P6. It was really great to see him moving on up And you know what? I think everybody was worried, oh no, Red Bull, blah, 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 Max isn't going to do great. First of all, the people who worried about Max not doing great, you guys are spoiled. You're spoiled because you've been used to Max Verstappen dominance. Right now, he's showing us just what kind of driver he is, and he is a fan-fucking-tastic driver. So to see him going from P20 to P6, insane. I love to see it. Here's the thing. You love to see a master at work. You love to see a guy who's good at what he's doing it. And that was great to see. I'd also like to give a shout out to my boy Arvid Lindblad. I don't really follow the lower levels, I don't really follow F2, F3. I know what Big Bomba Clot's doing because he's kind of funny to me. And I do have my ear to the ground with Colton Herta because, Tasia loves him in IndyCar, and I think he's fine. I don't really watch IndyCar, but I am anxious to see what he's doing. But yeah, F2, Arvid Lindblad was not a guy that I was paying attention to. And he wasn't like... Where did he finish? Let's see where he finished. He didn't even finish top 5 at the end of the season. Leonardo Fornarelli finished first. Jack Crawford, second. You got to go all the way to 6th place to see Arvid Lindblad. So he's not someone I was super aware of, like as a name that I knew, but I was just like, does he have the stones, what it takes? I think this whole thing, his success at this first race, we really have to have a discussion about F2. Like, what truly is the F2 purpose? Because 2-star recruits, 2 F2 star recruits from last year, rookies from last year, Antonelli and Behrman, they were nowhere in the standings for F2. Antonelli, it was his first year. It is difficult, and he was also a literal child. Behrman, he took a lot of time off of F2 his second year because he was filling in for Ferrari once and Haas at least twice, right? So he wasn't necessarily doing all of the races that he could have. But the year before, it wasn't like he was top 3. This was his second year in F2. And so you're just like, what's the point? We've had 2 or 3 F2 first place finishers who haven't even made it into F1. We've got the kid who was at Aston Martin, Felipe Drugovich, which I thought it was terrible for him to go into the Aston Martin Driving Academy after already winning. Because, honestly, I was like, dude, you were never getting an Aston Martin seat. I don't know why you didn't do that. I don't know why he didn't go to IndyCar, 2 years ago when people were interested in it. So Drugovich never even got a chance. Porsche never even got a look in. So it's just like, what's the point of winning F2 if you're not even making it at F1? If no one's even thinking about you, it's so insane. Let's talk about Arvid Lindblad. He came out of the gates swinging. He qualified P9, so he got into Q3 his first time ever, which is huge, especially in a field where crazy shit was happening. Max Verstappen crashed in Q1, yet Arvid Lindblad got into Q3. He had a great start. He was running, I think, in 4th. He drove well. He was clean. He was smart. He was aggressive. He didn't let Max Verstappen intimidate him. He was so self-assured and so... it was so exciting to see, and he finished P8, so I cannot wait to see what he's doing. I also feel, and let me know what you think, right? Because I'm coming from things as a Black American with West Indian and sort of British roots, and it is really interesting to see Red Bull lean into Arvid's Indian heritage. His mom is Indian and his dad is Swedish, and he was born in the UK. So it's been really interesting to see them doing a lot of activations within India, which I think is really important because there's a huge amount of Indian fans, and currently we do not have an Indian racetrack on the calendar. So maybe if Arvid continues to succeed, we'll see that coming. It's also nice to see that Asian representation, especially when we just lost a couple of Asian drivers, and Yuki Tsunoda and Zhou Guanyu. And then finally, I think another highlight that I do want to call out is seeing Ferrari be good. Last year, as a Ferrari ally, was pretty painful. The car, they went in a completely different development direction from the previous year. It was so weird to see Ferrari last year because the car was so bad, which was insane because the 2024 car almost won the Constructors' Championship, right? And then Ferrari's like, we're changing drivers, we're completely changing cars as well. So Lewis came on, it's a great fanfare, everyone's like, this is our year, this is our year, this is our year. And nothing. The car went in a completely different developmental direction. It's like they were like, everything we learned, scratch that. We no longer care. And so to see Ferrari coming out of the gates swanging, to see the light return to Charles Leclerc's eyes, to see everything happening, like, it was so great. Hey dogs, sorry that was a brief interruption with the doggies. I'm staying at my brother's apartment for the weekend. We have Coda. Hi Coda, say hi. And then Piper's here too, and they're the best girls in all of the world. You gonna stay? You gonna be in the podcast? Where were we? Oh yeah, to see Ferrari come back to where they belong. I imagine this is how it felt watching the beginning of the 2022 championship. Not as good because everyone still seems to think Mercedes is going to do better. But I remember 2022 was when I first started getting to F1. And even Lewis wrote, with the first race in Bahrain with Charles first, Carlos second, and I think Lewis was third on the podium. Even he wrote in his Instagram post, like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see them back at the front where they belong. So yeah, I'm excited to see where Ferrari takes it this year, and that was really great to see. Okay, low lights. First and foremost, Oscar Jack Piastri. Qualified 5th, did not start. That was tough. I turned on the TV. I had changed into my Australia rugby shirt, and he didn't even start the race. He crashed on the formation lap. I feel like he's probably under so much pressure because it's his home race. He blew a substantial lead last year in the WDC. And I feel like this was his opportunity to come out of the gate and say, like, hey, maybe we don't have the best car this year, but I'm the number one papaya. I'm the best driver. And so this really hurt momentum for him, and I think he's going to have a bit of a difficult time recovering. Okay. What else? Isaac Hadjar. I was so sad for him this time around. He qualified 3rd. Fantastic. Didn't finish. Engine failure. Devastating. Especially because he had such a tough Australia last year. He crashed in the formation lap, I think, because of the rain. So he didn't even make it through. So for him to also not finish, Australia is cursed. I'm not going to say he has a Red Bull second seat curse because I don't think that's what's going on here. But it's not great. However, we know he can recover because he's done it before. So it didn't hurt him last year. He ended up, going to Red Bull. It only really made him stronger, so I know he's going to bounce back from it. Okay, Hulk did not start. He qualified 11th, almost in the points, didn't start. That was tough, especially because Audi is looking pretty strong. Audi and Haas are looking pretty racy. They might be best of the rest. Audi, Haas, and Alpine, all strong. Aston, low light. They used it as testing. We knew they weren't going to finish the race. It was so funny because they kept bringing them out again, Alonso in the garage. And they're like, you know what? Let's bring him out. Let's run some tests. Then back in the garage. Stroll in the garage. You know what? Let's bring him out. Let's run some tests. Back in the garage. Over and over and over again. It was kind of crazy to see, honestly. Like, I don't know what you think, but I was just like, what are we doing here? And it's also embarrassing because they do have Adrian Newey, and so much fanfare was made about this, and they've poured so much money into this team. I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. I don't know where Honda goes from here. I feel bad for them because they keep having to post to Instagram, hey guys, sorry this didn't work out. Here's what we're going to try to do. Here's our takeaways from this. And then my personal biggest low light as a Carlos Sainz fan, Williams supporter, Williams is cooked. They missed the shakedown, the first testing session, so we already knew they were cooked from that, and that is down to issues that they had with the car, but also, with managing everything. Then Carlos just had a terrible weekend for the Australia. He didn't even do P3, practice 3. He didn't even do qualifying because his car wasn't working. And then once he did start driving, he had that great start. Albon also had a great start. They were running pretty good. They pitted for the first safety car, which was great. And then they decided to double stack Alex and Carlos to pit when the virtual safety car came out, which is already dangerous, right? Because virtual safety cars don't last as long. And then double stacking when you had two teammates running one right after the other, only 2 seconds apart. There's no way that works. So Alex had a great pit stop. He was in there for like 18 seconds. Meanwhile, Carlos is in there for 25 seconds. It was horrible. So he comes out like a bajillion places behind. I think this was a really make or break moment for Williams, and especially James Fowles. They really had to put their money where their mouth is, because this entire time, and I said this before on this podcast, this entire time they're like, you know what, this year is our year, 2026 is our year, that's what we're going towards. We didn't even develop the 2025 car because we put all of our resources into 2026. And I'm saying, and I said this last year, and everyone's like, oh, Candace, no, 2026 is our year. I'm thinking, how the heck did that 2025 car get so good if they haven't changed anything about it, right? For them to be like, it's all set up things, so that means Carlos Sainz came in with his magic butt, because that's how the drivers feel everything. The drivers feel everything in their butt. Carlos Sainz with his magic butt came in and was just like, this will make it better. These are the setup changes we have to make. Is that true? Is that how it works? Somewhat. Tell me if I'm wrong. I probably am wrong. I don't know. It's 11:30 p.m. So I'm just yapping by myself. I'm yapping by myself. Anyway, long story short, I'm worried about Williams. They seem like really lovely people. They do such great fan engagement. Seeing Carlos with that little girl Thea and the magical unicorn sparkles, which gave Carlos such great luck last year, really turned his season around, whether it was a mindset shift, whether it was unicorn sparkly magic, or whether it was just Mercury. Oh yeah, Mercury's in retrograde right now, I think. Is this the reason why Australia was so insane? Anyway, but seeing the way that Williams managed those fan interactions, seeing, the commitment they have to the fans, and they always say they have a family atmosphere. And so I need them to put that thought and care into building a car and managing both sides of the garage, because I do not want to have another year where one car is doing well and the other one is nowhere. That's what happened last year. Talk about Cadillac. I think Cadillac gets a grace period. If you guys watch Real Housewives and read the Vulture reviews for Real Housewives, it's sort of agreed in the comment section and in the recapper Brian Moylan that new housewives get a 5-episode grace period we're going to refrain on forming an opinion until we get 5 episodes in. And that's what I'm going to do with Cadillac. I'm going to refrain on forming an opinion with Cadillac. You know, they had a lot of reliability issues. Valtteri had a technical failure. I think it was something with his fuel system. Checo, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was driving. They were just gathering data. You know, it felt good to be back in a car because he finished, I don't know, 3 or 4 laps behind. So we'll see where they end up. I don't think anyone expects them to be good. You know, I think they'll finish 11th. Well, I thought they were going to finish 11th, but with Aston Martin not even trying to finish races, who knows? Who knows? But luckily, even though there were a lot of car reliability issues, no one got hurt. There wasn't terrible crashes. And you know what? We go again next week in China. These new regulations, I'm still wrapping my head around them. I'm going to wait until the next episode that we have with Tasia to really talk through. Maybe I'll wait even longer. I don't know. Okay, what else to talk about this race? Australia. What else to talk about this race? Mercedes versus Ferrari. Is this year our year? Who is us? Who is our year? In this conversation, our year is Ferrari's year. I think we could have a battle on our hands. George, very self-assured, even when Charles kept going ahead, he didn't really waver, and he was saved by his team's strategy. Ferrari, their pace is not that great in qualifying, which is insane because Charles Leclerc is like one of the best qualifiers of all time. However, getting those race starts, that is going to make such a big difference, especially at the beginning of the season when the other teams just don't have a response. And if Ferrari keeps their wits about them, they could be leading the championship. And I think Charles Leclerc might win it all. I'm saying that right now. Everyone's like, oh my God, Mercedes has this in the bag. Yeah, maybe Mercedes does. If Ferrari can get their shit together, Charles Leclerc can win it all. I've said this before. Lewis is not done. Lewis is the greatest to ever do it. He's not done. However, the car this year is a lot better. I don't think they've fixed the issues on his side of the garage that they need to in order for him to win his 8th with this car, with this team this year. We saw it in the race. He's on the blower. Hey guys, why didn't we bring one of us in? Why didn't we split the strategy? And Farah's like, we are checking, we are plan A, Lewis, baby. I hope. I'm disappointed in you because you know better now. You know better. You should have known better when you came in. That Ferrari does not have their shit together, that their strategy, it's not their strong point, right? You should have known better because all the fans knew. That's the joke. The joke was Carlos was their strategist. And when Carlos left, there goes strategy, right? Okay, you come in, you don't know. That's fine. We're watching the races. You're not, because you're driving them. And you're driving them, you're not paying attention really to what the other teams are doing. You got a life. You got a Kardashian to date, whatever. So now you're here. You're here. You have a whole year under your belt. You had an issue with my guy Ricky, right? Ricky's gone, which is great. You know, if you have to be like, are you mad at me to your engineer? That relationship, it wasn't gonna be good. Okay, right. So now we have a new guy, Carlo. It seems like you guys are getting a rapport. And I know you are still finding your foot within the team, but at a certain point, you have to put your foot down. You have to be like, my name is Lewis motherfucking Hamilton. I am a 7-time world champion. I'm the most successful Formula One driver ever. I have over 100 race wins. I have like 300 podiums. Like, that's what you gotta say. And if you want to come in, you gotta come the fuck in, my guy. You got to, because that's the only way you're gonna get anywhere. That's the only way it's gonna happen. And I'm sorry. Ferrari is a great team, but they have issues, and that's consistently been an issue. Is this your year? I think this year could be Ferrari's year. I could also be wrong. Mercedes could take everything. I think Kimi is looking really strong. He had a bad start, and he was able to come back up because he had better strategy. And if Mercedes wins, it's going to be because they've got a really good car, and they've got a really good team behind it. And that's that. Oh, you know what? I've been yapping about Mercedes versus Ferrari. I've been talking about Lewis. I've been talking about Charles. You know what? I want to give George Russell his flowers. He kept his head while battling with Charles. And we know that in the past, situations like these can sort of cause George to lose focus a little, and he's gotten into some hairy situations due to temperament. But he kept his head, and he trusted in his team, and he trusted in himself, and he won the race. And so while on paper, he qualified P1, finished P1. For the first third of the race, it looked like it could go a different way. But he did it, so good for him. What? Red Bull, we'll see. I think Isaac's going to do great. I think Max is going to do great. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen when Max is able to get a good qualifying, because we know that he's good in qualifying. So I think he's going to win races this year. Do I think he's going to win the championship? No. But I think he's going to be fighting for it, maybe. Who knows? Okay, Australia was insane. We got 6 cars that didn't start and or finish the race. What does the rest of the year look like? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be Mercedes dominance? Do you think it's going to be Ferrari? Do you think we're still going to get the back and forth at the beginning of the races? Do you think that makes the racing better? Right? It was exciting, but is it going to get old? And we'll know actually none of this even matters? Like, what's going to happen? I don't know. I'm so excited. Like I said, I think the top 2 will be either Charles Leclerc or George Russell. I think Leclerc could get it. I think Aston, Cadillac, and Williams are going to have a really tough time. And I think best of the rest could be Haas or Alpine. Maybe Audi. But I think it could be exciting. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, it's over. Mercedes dominance incoming. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think we're going to get some funky things going on. I think those Ferrari starts are going to make it messy for everybody else. Mercedes might flounder a little. Max is going to give everybody a run for his money. I don't know. Am I excited? I'm excited for this year. Williams, not as much, but everybody else, I'm excited for them. Okay. F1 pop culture. Okay. A lot of things have been happening in the pop culture aspect of everything. Oh, you know what? No. I think I want to talk about the Australian Grand Prix in general. What I have liked about being part of this F1 fandom online is seeing how things change over the years. It feels like they're starting to embrace influencers and creating better fan experiences that are designed to be put online. And so that's really exciting to see. It makes you feel like you're there, especially when you see your favorite creators. I want to shout out my girl Kimmy, our Australian baddie, seeing them there, seeing everybody reacting, seeing the fun activations like Glamour on the Grid and La Roche Posay doing like the sunscreen. It just seems fun. And it feels like each year I'm seeing more and more of that. Oh no, I do wish Tasia was here because I do want to talk about Charles Leclerc and Alexandra Leclerc's wedding. So exciting. So they had their civil wedding. I'm sure everybody saw those photos. I gasped, literally. I was at work and I was like, I wanted to run around and just like show everybody the photos. It was so well documented and curated. You know, everything from the blue sky to the white on white flowers with the greenery matching sort of the lace dress and the very simple Alex's very simple makeup and very simple hair with the baby's breath in it. And of course, Charles and Alex driving away in the car. I thought that was so funny. When I saw them in that car, that Ferrari, that bajillion-dollar Ferrari, I was like, this man is never leaving this team. He's staying at Ferrari forever, because if you are featuring that Ferrari in your wedding photos, you're not leaving, baby. And I know Tasia and I, in the last episode, we had this conversation. If Charles will ever leave, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going nowhere. So it was also funny to hear on the broadcast David Coulthard being like, oh, Charles doing so well because now he has a wife to impress. David Coulthard is a messy bitch who lives for drama. Everyone talks about the female fans, like, oh, it's not reality television and da 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 da. David Coulthard will be like, oh, Charles is married now. I bet he'll drive better. And oh, Carlos is dating a woman from Scotland. That's exciting. Like, David, keep your eyes on the road. But no, I do like it. Oh, Charles Leclerc, his mom giving me a haircut. He'll be dropping little tidbits. And I am glad that everybody does get to experience the F1 TV commentating now that F1 has moved to Apple TV, because I love those F1 TV commentators. Boots the house down. Jolien, my man. David, love him. And then Alex Jakes, keeping it together. Okay, so yeah, Alexandra and Charles Leclerc, that was their civil wedding. I'm excited to see the real deal, the big one. That'll be fun to see. Kim Kardashian watch. I want to add this as a segment. I'm going to do a Kim Kardashian watch until we receive confirmation that they are no longer dating. I will say, has Kim Kardashian shown up at the race? No. Were Kim and Louis seen coming back from like a road trip in like the Western United States, I think in like near Amangiri Resort or something? Yeah, they were papped. So they are still very much an item, and I do still think we will see Kim probably for the first time in Monza. I think we'll see her in Monza, and we'll see her at Silverstone. So yeah, Drive to Survive. It was released. I have not watched it. Tasia has been giving her opinions on her page, so you should look at that. That's what's going on with F1 pop culture. Okay, pop culture, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Okay, Tasia isn't here. We both love pop culture. We both love TV. We both love movies. But we do have very different tastes. And I don't know if this is for her, but this is for you guys. Everybody, if you have not watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms, you have to watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's literally my new favorite show. It's like a Knight's Tale, but less romance, and a little kid who could be Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's so good. It's what I love about it is it focuses on the small folk of Game of Thrones and what sort of the machinations at the top level means for everybody like the normal people, but also it's really good about what it means to be a knight, what it means to, protect those who are less fortunate than you, standing up for your morals and what's right, even in the face of power that goes against that. And I think that's something that's really important in this sort of current political climate. We're seeing a lot of really bad things happening, and so it's good to remind people that even if higher ups are doing bad things and trying to subjugate the masses, like, you can still make a difference and you should still do what's right even though you might die. And I think that's a word, baby. That's a message. And it's a message we all need. And the guy who plays Dunk, I love him. He's so tall and just like obsessed. Anyway, so that is my pop cultural recommendation for the week. And then a segment that we always do, I say always, this is like the third episode, a segment that we do is our XOXO of the week, because we love Gossip Girl and we love this. And here is something that I really love this week, and I've been talking about it consistently throughout this podcast. I love those damn Ferrari starts. My XOXO of the week are the Ferrari starts. Oh, man. To see Charles going from 4th to 1st, Lewis going from 7th to 3rd, and almost to 2nd, and that pure poetry. And that's what Formula One is all about, right? The driver should be good, but it's all about how you develop the car within the rules and regulations. And they found a way that nobody else did. And that is exciting. That is the engineering aspect. That is so exciting. And that is going to make this season interesting. It's going to prevent Mercedes from running away with the titles. And yeah. So that is the show for today. We have another one coming up in a couple of weeks. I think we're still sort of working out timing. I will say this has been crazy because I do practice podcasts by like talking to myself while I'm like cleaning or baking or whatever. And I really want to like work through something mentally, but to actually have done this, to actually have been talking for an hour, staring by myself into the computer, that's insane. So thank you for coming on this journey with me. We will be doing this, like, if Tasia's traveling, if I'm traveling, if one of us is sick, we will be doing solo podcasts, I believe, go forward, but we will try to always do them together so that we can have these conversations, bounce everything off each other. And also, it's better than having one person just talking at you for an hour straight, because I will say I have a lot of very strongly held ideas and opinions, and Tasia has her own strongly held ideas and opinions, and we do not always agree. And so that's actually exciting. I like a conversation, because sometimes just to hear someone say, yeah, agree, that is boring. Anyway, that's it. I am Candace. This is Gossip Goals. Tune in next week for more pop culture, for more Formula One, for hot takes, late breaks. You know you love us. XOXO, Gossip Goals. Bye.